Now from the University of Okoboji, it's Okoboji Broadcast with Jeff Thee.
Welcome to Okoboji Broadcast, everybody. I'm Jeff Thee, coming to you from historic Arnold's Park Amusement Park. Beautiful day, and I have here with me State Senator Dave Rowley, who has joined us to sit out here and with a lot of families and beauty around us, Dave. And you know what? This is a great place to be.
We live in the most beautiful area, I tell you what, in all of Iowa. I mean, I just love all the things that this area has to offer in my full district, in District 5. I have to tell you, we live in a beautiful area, and hey, that weather has been fantastic this year too. So that's been a lot of fun.
We've gotten rain when we need it, and we've gotten heat when we've needed it. We'll just call it all good.
We shouldn't brag though.
No,
because a lot of the state is under some stress, and hopefully they'll get their share.
Hopefully they get what they need as well. Well, we wanted to sit down and talk about the 23 session that ended April. I can't remember when you guys wrapped up.
I think it was May 12th, somewhere in there, May 10th. Yeah, somewhere in there. So it was a long time ago.
It was some time ago, but
I'm glad we're catching up.
No, we can talk about some of what you consider some of the highlights coming out of this past session, and maybe some things that were left over from there that maybe going into 24 might be coming around. So
well, I got to tell you, the session was very productive. One thing I've enjoyed, especially my second session being involved in the legislature, is the management, the business management of the state of Iowa. Setting a budget, we increased the budget to $8.5 billion, I should say.
Right.
Over $8.2 billion, and so we're increasing. We're doing that, and while we're doing that, the other thing that comes out is the bills we passed for property tax relief, and that is a very important issue. And of course, it affects all of us going forward. But we all know that property taxes were a little bit out of control, and we're trying to find that way to control that. And I think it was a very good bill. It is a very good law coming into place. I'm looking forward to seeing that go into effect. The other would be, of course, the educational savings account. It was a very hot topic. It came out right out of the beginning of the session. We got that passed, as you've heard, and a lot of viewers know that we had quite a few applications. But when you see 29,000 applications, or whatever that number is, not all are going to be qualifying for those sort of loans and on. And we're just starting too. This was at the 300% of federal poverty level for those families. And I think that's why some of the private students were getting those as well. But we'll see how that plays out. But I think I'm very proud that we passed the Educational Savings Account. The Students First Act is what it was. And then also, we also had the realignment of departments. I chaired the Administration and Regulations Committee, subcommittee in appropriations in the Senate. And so that was a big change for a lot of people. My budget itself was $70 million. And so you have new people coming in, and how you're putting that all together. Definitely, for example, the insurance division is now insurance and financials, banking, and everything falls under the same bucket.
So because we went from 30-some to 15, or what was it?
I believe it was 37 down to 16.
16, okay.
Either that or 36 down to 17. But it is a realignment, and anybody who's been in business, and I've been on the corporate world too, you really need to evaluate your direct reports, your departments, your agencies, to streamline that and become more efficient. And that happens all the time, and this hadn't been done for 40 years. And so by doing this, we should save about $200 million over the next 3 years.
Well, and sometimes when you start adding divisions, adding sections, sometimes you get duplicity that, you've got, these are kind of similar but separate, and you start bringing things together so it's a little more streamlined as well.
Absolutely, you get redundancy. And redundancy occurs, and that's where the loss of control of your expenses is. And so this is a great way to step forward, look into the future. And this isn't just for this administration, if you will, or this governor or this majority. this is for the future as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be better for the state of Iowa.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan always said smaller government is better government, and this is just a part of going along with that. Absolutely.
And I'm a big fan of Ronald Reagan.
I am as well.
I got to start reading more and more on him. I'm reading a book right now on Abe Lincoln and some of his quotes, and that's fascinating as well.
Yeah.
Another thing, of course, was schools dealing with parental rights, dealing with materials in school and addressing that. So my feeling and sense of how this session went is the fact that we addressed all these issues that our constituents and the people of the state of Iowa wanted to deal with. And one thing I enjoy about the legislature, the team, the leadership we have, we do address those issues.
Yes. Yeah. And issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
From a reverse angle on that. Yes, indeed. Anything else from the end of the last session?
Well, I can tell you something that will pop into this as well is No, I'll tell you what, I'll just leave it at that because I know we have an important subject that we wanted to discuss, and that is the special session.
Yep, special session that just had down here in Des Moines at the Capitol, and I'll let you address what happened during that time.
So the Heartbeat Bill was passed in 2018, and in 2019, very quickly, an injunction was placed upon it by a district judge for the purpose that it did not comply with federal law, Roe versus Wade.
Right.
So you can't trump federal law, and therefore it was pretty much an injunction was put on it. Now it was passed by both houses, the Senate and the House, and was signed into law by the governor. So this injunction was placed upon it. Last year, Roe versus Wade at the United States Supreme Court was overturned, and now there was a decision to be made. So what happens is that injunction, is it enforceable now or is it non-enforceable? So the governor then went through the court system, and the Supreme Court had to decide in Iowa whether that injunction would stay in place or not. The judges, there's 7 justices. 1 recused themselves, and so you had 6. And what happened was in the vote or decision-making, the opinions, it was a 3-3 tie or stalemate. Since it was a push, the injunction stayed in place. That happened on June 16th, that decision came down. So wisely, we addressed this right away. The governor called us to convene a special legislative session to address the Heartbeat Bill. And that's when we were all called down to Des Moines to go through debate, go through the whole Heartbeat Bill, the purpose of it, and what it does and doesn't do, and then vote on that. Now that it's passed both houses, and today, on Friday, we expect the governor will sign it today and put it into law again. Now, the question on everybody's mind is where does it go from here because of the Supreme Court, Iowa Supreme Court? Will it go back through the courts? And as most people know by this time, it's being challenged. It's being challenged by the Planned Parenthood of Heartland, Edmund Goldman Clinics, and also the ACLU of Iowa. So now it will go through that challenge and then move forward. But the difference is, the injunction was never about the constitutionality of the Heartbeat Bill. The injunction was placed on there because it did not comply with federal law at the time. Now that there's no Roe versus Wade, this will bring the bill back through the court system to, in my opinion, it'll have to meet the merits of constitutionality.
You were showing me some stats before we got going here, and so essentially it says after 6 weeks, abortion is illegal. Or after the heartbeat, and it's
fetal heartbeat is detected, first detected by an abdominal ultrasound.
And with the exception, of course, with the rape, incest, health of the mother. But you were showing me some stats of what the percentage is prior to that heartbeat of what it has been shown to be in Iowa. Which is significant.
Well, that wasn't necessarily Iowa, but that was overall.
But for the opposition saying you're denying rights and so forth, in those prior 6 weeks was pretty high percentage of when those abortions took place.
Actually, they are. A part of the arguments that I heard that day and into the evening was this war on women and all this stuff like that, and that's the politics of it. And it's the truth of it, that people feel that way, which is something that we need to address always.
Sure. Because
that's not the intent. But getting to your point, the fact is that within the first 7 weeks, that is when almost 65% of abortions take place. So the arguments that I heard about so difficult to detect, a heartbeat, so on and so forth, I'm not sure that holds the muster when you look up and see the statistics that it certainly can be detected at an early time.
Right.
And it is. And that's when it's occurring. Now, that's not a good thing in my book because I'm pro-life. But when you look at the merits of this bill and going forward, that pretty much, it's just something that people should realize that it is very doable. A woman can go in and have that abdominal ultrasound and have that heartbeat detected, and if that's their choice at that time. Now, also, the exceptions are medical emergency. If there's a car accident or some sort of horrible thing happens for the life of the mother, absolutely. And then you have rape, if that rape is reported within 45 days of the event of the rape. And also incest, if that event is reported within 140 days of when that event happens. And then you also have for the health of the mother, absolutely is an exception. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, if you have a miscarriage, if you have anything that endangers the life of that mother, there's no penalties, civil, criminally, on the life of the mom.
Right.
And that can be done. So this bill actually, it's actually supportive of women and mothers in unplanned pregnancies to a large degree.
Right.
One thing I want to point out too, when we talk about rape and incest, these are some of the most awful things that sometimes families and women can face.
Yes.
And giving that time for that to be reported actually empowers women. It empowers them that the state is saying, okay, we understand, and this can occur if it comes under those circumstances. But also what it does, it also puts them in a position where we need to let law and order take its place. If there's been a rape, or if there's been an incest, our society, our state, we have a duty to find those people and to make them accountable for what's going on.
Right.
This empowers women. This empowers the whole situation when used correctly. And I believe that we have all the tools in place to do this effectively. So when I look at this bill, I look at the positives as well as what some people perceive as the negatives.
Right.
It's very difficult for me to imagine abortion at 6-7 months. It really is.
Yeah.
The different procedures that are used. And I truly believe that the innocent of life, a human being who has no protections whatsoever except, and they're so dependent upon the decisions society will make or that parent will make.
Yes.
So I think the most prudent way to approach all of this is to offer those services and resources to unplanned pregnancies and keep working on that end. For example, we have $1 million allocated to the MOMS program. All right?
Okay.
And the MOMS is to support those mothers for postpartum, for support. And can that be more? That's the direction we should take. It's always providing those resources. Right now, there's a lot of resources out there, and the state of Iowa can always be a partner with those sort of resources.
Yeah, and that was what my next question was going to be. What's left out in the outfield that, in addition to this, that things that maybe need to be taken care of now that this is in place? Are there, but we need to tweak this, that we need to address this moving forward as you get into the 24 session.
Right. Our focus in Health and Human Services Committee has always been to help families. It always is to look for those funds, continue to allocate funds and make sure those programs are in place through DHS, through public health, through all of the services that the state provides. Medicaid reimbursement, that's constantly on the table. That's something that we deal with, and I'm definitely in that camp where I want to make sure those funds are being allocated properly. We passed a law this year to make sure that people who are receiving Medicaid, they definitely are in need of Medicaid.
Right.
And that's why we passed a bill to have a measure, if you will, to measure the assets that they have. There was about 80,000 people out there that really need to be looked at that are receiving those sort of benefits that may not really qualify for those sort of benefits.
Right.
By taking care of things like that on that end, that allocates and opens up those funds for these situations and all the situations they may follow.
Yeah.
I just think that we can balance this out and provide those resources. Now, this law, it's still going to be signed into law today, and it'll have a challenge. But going forward, I expect next session we will be addressing those issues.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to be part of the Health and Human Services. I'm proud to be on these committees, judiciary, to help and do whatever I can to represent our district and also the people of Iowa.
Very good. Well, Senator, if people have questions for you, they would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way to touch base with Senator Dave Rowley?
The best way to touch base is to email my legislative address. Here we go. It's dave.rowley@legis.iowa.gov. And that's probably the best way. And I also have a cell number, and I can be called 712-330-5596.
Okay.
And if I don't recognize the number, I won't pick up, but I will answer the call as soon as possible.
Very good.
And I just want to thank you, Jeff, and everything you do. This is great. I mean, we got a big weekend today, don't we?
Yes, we do. It's, like you said, we live at a wonderful spot, and might as well take advantage of it while it's this time of the year.
We do.
In January, you will not see me sitting out here.
I know it. Oh, man, don't even mention that.
I don't want to say it. No. I zipped the lip. I didn't say that. So, all right, my friend, thank you for stopping and breaking us down and an update on the legislative process in Des Moines, and thank you for your service to our state as well in our area.
You're welcome.
All right, Senator Dave Rowley again here with us today on Okoboji Broadcast. We thank him for his time, and of course, we thank you for watching us right here on Okoboji Broadcast. Okoboji Broadcast from the studios at historic Arnold's Park Amusement Park is brought to you in part by the Scott Troutman State Farm Agency in Spirit Lake, Quest Wealth Management, a financial advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, advisor Jan Spielman, AJ Spielman, and Erica Wachholz. The headquarters of the University of Okoboji is at the Three Sons, open Monday through Saturday 10 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 4. Bank Midwest, dream big, plan wisely, live well. Lakes Regional Healthcare and Avera Partner. Ruthven Locker at the Lake, where carnivores are welcome on Hill Avenue in Spirit Lake. Beck Engineering in Spirit Lake. Be Radiant Laser Skin Studio in the Okoboji Plaza in Okoboji.